watches a scary movie. My name is T, and of course we are talking scary movies. I appreciate you tuning in. Remember, regular episodes go up every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which you can find on the link tree by going to linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. That'll get you linked to both the video versions through YouTube, as well as the audio only versions through all your favorite podcasting platforms, as well as it'll get you linked to the Letterboxd for my written reviews and my TikTok for all the fun horror videos that I'm making as well. Make sure you get subscribed, whether it's to the link tree or to any of those channels, so you can stay up to date with everything I'm discussing in the world of horror. So what am I talking about here in this bonus episode? Well, if you just got done watching the previous episode, I was talking season 5 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. As I'm trying to keep my episodes short, I didn't want to go over too long, but I know that right now a lot of folks are discussing season 5 of Buffy, so I want to talk about it just a little bit more. So folks, we're going to jump 10 more minutes back in here to give you just a little bit more into season 5 of Buffy. In the previous ep, I talked Buffy herself, I talked the Scoobies, and I also talked Glory. We're going to expand on a lot of that information here in this bonus episode, and I'd like to go back to the Scoobies and talk a bit more about Riley. Now, in season 4, we know Riley was a member of the Initiative, this government organization that was seeking to protect the world, but by protecting it, they were doing a lot of very unscrupulous things. They had basically had Riley under mind control, and when everything kind of came to a head with Adam and Professor Walsh was killed and the Initiative was shut down, Riley still stuck with the Scoobies, but he kind of lost that sense of purpose. And I think there was a lot of hope back when, this season was on, that Riley would kind of take a bigger, more important role, just because from what we had seen up to this point, it was just Buffy and Angel. That was it. And Angel, keep in mind, had been gone, but not really, because he did make an appearance in season 4 of Buffy. Like, he did show up specifically to have issues with Riley, and not specifically. He came to make sure that Buffy was okay, but it basically led to him just showing up and having issues with Riley, and there was that. And so it's understandable that Riley would have some insecurities, which of course are his problems completely. But the big issue is that he was looking for some reassurance from Buffy that, number one, that she loved him because he was very clearly in love with her, but number two, that he actually served a purpose being here, because let's be honest, I don't mean this in a bad sense at all, Riley was there to be muscle, honestly. Like, his character was the tie to the Initiative in season 4, but when season 5 came around, there came the question of what role does Riley truly serve here? And unfortunately, that really led to him being written out, because as the season goes on and him and Buffy gets more and more detached, this when Riley starts slumming it at, vampire bars and demon bars, and starts letting vampires bite him basically to get some kind of thrill out of it, because it's not there at all with Buffy. He just doesn't feel like this relationship means anything to her at all. And it's kind of sad to see that, because you can definitely tell that Riley obviously loves this woman and wants to be there for her, but numerous times throughout the season he's kind of self-depreciating to him, and I'm about to say to himself, but he's self-depreciating, and the fact that he just doesn't seem to be as confident as he was in the previous season when he was working for the Initiative, which is of course where his friend returns and offers him a job with a different government organization hunting demons, which he takes. And it's very tense, because there's an episode in here to where Riley and Buffy have a standoff because Riley needs to get a procedure done, or else he's gonna die from stuff that happened with him during the Initiative. And he kind of sizes up and squares up Buffy for a minute there and really thinks about taking her on, because Buffy says, look, you don't have to like me, but you're gonna go get this operation whether you care about it or not, or I'm gonna beat you up and take you to go get it. And there's a second that Riley considers it, and he's like, nah, I just don't want the smoke. And I think that's one of the best moments of Buffy, to where somebody really sizes her up. It's like, nah, I can't do that. So I enjoy Riley a lot as a character. I think that in the scheme of the entire show of Buffy, he is likely Buffy's best boyfriend, if we're going to be honest about it, because, you know, there's other things to think about when it comes to Angel and it comes to Spike, honestly. And Riley's really the only one that could give her any kind of a normal life. So it sucks so much that this went out the way that it did. We know that he makes another appearance before Buffy is done completely, but it sucks that he had to go out the way that he did in terms of that relationship. I also wanted to discuss Dracula a little bit more, because I find it interesting that Dracula is really the only vampire of historical value that's really made an appearance on the show. Because all these other vampires, like the Master, or Angelus, or Drusilla, or Spike, or Darla, you know, any of these famous vampires that are out there, it's because they're famous for the show. The show has created them as these characters, and so we have to hold them in that light. But with Dracula, it's such a different story. And as I said in the last episode, I remember being psyched to see this. I thought it was so cool. But years and years later, you know, 20 years later at this point, it is very interesting to kind of look at it and say that Dracula's a chump, honestly. You know, Spike kind of called it out that he's just a vampire that uses a bunch of tricks and stuff. And realistically, that's it. Like, he turns into a bat, turns into the fog, he has kind of the mind control a little bit here, all this stuff that none of the other vampires we've seen with immense power can do. And I just find it kind of interesting that Dracula, in all reality, really is just another chump vampire who happens to have a few magic tricks, which definitely would explain why he never showed back up in the TV show. I think he actually comes back around in the comics again, and I think he's a good guy this time in the comics, which really does make sense based on what he's kind of doing with Buffy in his one episode there. But I find that so fascinating that Dracula gets this cameo, and it turns out he's really just this big old chump. Now, I talked about how, like, season 5 of Buffy is like this big emotional season. There's so much stuff going on between, like, Buffy and Riley, or Buffy and Spike, because we know Spike ends up falling in love with Buffy, and there's more than a few moments that he gets to really show off what he's willing to do when he's being sincere about it to keep her safe and to do something for her. Like the numerous times that he's called on to protect the Scoobies, or Joyce, or Dawn, or even when he gets kidnapped by Glory and tortured to reveal who the key is, and he doesn't give Dawn up, or again when he gets them all out of Dodge in the RV and then tries to save Dawn before opening up the portal to all the hell worlds and dimensions and everything. And I think James Marsters got such better scripts in the second part of this season when he got to play up the emotional aspects of it, because you see Spike himself is really trying to figure out this obsession, this fascination that he has with Buffy, and it does evolve over the season, because it goes from hatred and wanting to kill her, and just even when he tries to get the operation to take the chip out and Buffy shows up and it's the Slayer, it's like, that's the old Spike right there. It's so much fun. But then as he starts realizing these feelings, and he's selfish about it at first, trying all these tricks to manipulate Buffy and gaslight her, but then he really starts kind of accepting these feelings that he has, and we get some of the best emotional moments out of the series for any characters involving Spike, including my absolute favorite when Buffy makes him think that she's the Buffy bot and confronts him. And, he reveals that he didn't say anything. He never would say anything. He couldn't stand Buffy to get hurt that way. And Buffy calls him out on the robot, but makes sure to let him know that she appreciates him for what he did and that she won't forget it. It's such an emotional point, because she's basically ostracized Spike from the entire Scooby gang, which is Spike's fault ultimately. And when it really counts towards the end of the season, Spike really shows that he truly does care about Buffy. He truly does want goodness for her when he really thinks about it. And that just goes to just more of the emotion of the series. The episode The Body, which is, again, one of the best episodes of all time. We have the previous episode, which ends off to where Buffy gets home, finds her mom on the couch, and there's the mommy, and it's heartbreaking, and that's the end. And then we get the full episode, no music, there's nothing going on except for this funeral, and Buffy trying to figure out what she's going to do and trying to figure out, could she have been there faster or done something more for her mom. And it's heartbreaking, honestly, because, you know, Buffy very much goes through the same phases of life that all kids, you know, do at a certain point. And in season 4, she's getting to enjoy being like a young college student. And in season 5, she's immediately boosted up to being this adult and dealing now with being a guardian for her sister and the loss of her mom. And, you know, death might being the only thing that's about her. That's the only thing that she can give to people. And Joyce's death kind of had to happen, because without it, Buffy kind of gets to stay safe in like this routine she's been in for the last 4 seasons. And when Joyce's gone, she's forced to really take that final step to become this woman. And, you know, that's encapsulated by her officially leaving college as well, too. And of course, there's her death at the end of the season. But they do such a good job giving Buffy some significant character growth, finally kind of ending everything she's gone through and really understanding what she truly can offer. Because while death might be her gift, from death, there's life, and she's able to save the day. So that's all I got here in regards to Buffy season 5, because I could talk about this forever. Folks, I want to hear your thoughts on this season, though, whether it's the previous episode or this one. Tell me what you think. Is this the best season of Buffy? Did Spike put in that emotional work for this season as well, too? Were you gutted watching the body? Let me know in the comment section, folks, and stick around this week, because I got more great reviews coming for you. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared. Hey everybody, looking for a great way to stay up to date on horror news, as well as read the best of articles on anything scary out in the world right now? Then you need to head over to the Fangoria shop and get yourself a subscription. If you go to shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW, you can use my own personalized 20% discount to save 20% off on Fangoria magazine subscriptions, as well as 20% off any other items in their fantastic shop. This is a great deal. If you've ever been wanting to get yourself a subscription, now is the time to do so. Head to shop.fangoria.com/AXDEW.